Hello, so the reason for this video today is I am going to go over the annotated bibliography and also go over a few things that I want you to pay close attention to before you hand in the annotated bibliography, which is due May 31st. So first, let me apologize if you have to turn up the volume on your video a little bit louder. I'm actually in a Starbucks in Boston at an actual teachers conference that talks about writing and teaching, so the things that we do in our class. So I'm not off just having a good time, but I'm still at work, hopefully delivering this great information to you so that you can finish off your annotated bibliography in a strong way. So the first thing that I want to just touch on before I get into the annotated bibliography is that it's been great meeting everyone on the discussion board one post. So I finally got a chance to update the discussion board one post, and I've responded to everyone on that post. I will unlock that post, or that post should already be unlocked. So if you want, you can go back and look at my responses. If you still want to have conversation with students or peers, or if you want to ask me more questions in the discussion board post number one, you're free to do that. In terms of discussion board post number two, you all should be finishing up your responses to each other for discussion board post number two. And in the discussion board post number two, you were supposed to upload your rough draft of your annotated bibliography. So, and then respond to your to one other peer with those questions. Now, as a reminder, the final draft for the annotated bibliography is due May 31st in the Dropbox on eLearning. So, in preparation for getting ready to hand in the final draft of the annotated bibliography, you want to make sure that you review my feedback to you on the annotated bibliography in eLearning. So right now I'm going to tell you how to access your feedback on eLearning. So I'm just pulling up the page right now. When you go to eLearning, you are going to click on Grades. And then when you click on Grades, you'll see a list of the assignments. And each assignment will be listed, and under the annotated bibliography assignment, you'll see a box that says comments. You click on it, should say comments or feedback. So you click on that box and you'll see that I've uploaded a rough draft of your annotated bibliography with my comments. Make sure that you read those comments carefully, because that is going to be the primary writing feedback that I give you on your paper. So when you move from the rough draft, the draft that you posted on the discussion board, and upload to the discussion to the actual Dropbox, I'm going to be looking at how you've addressed my feedback, and I'm also going to be looking at how you've addressed the students' feedback that you've gotten from your peers. And on your final draft, I'm just going to assign a grade according to your progress and how you have addressed my feedback. In terms of that, make sure that you read my feedback carefully, and make sure that you ask me any questions that you don't understand. Along with that, a few of you, I've actually uploaded some helpful links for you to look at in your feedback. So make sure that you are able to access those links when you look at the feedback from me on your annotated bibliography. So as a reminder, to upload, or I should say to view your comments on your rough draft of the annotated bibliography, go to Grades, scroll down, look at the annotated bibliography assignment, and you should see the comment or feedback drop box, and then that will have an uploaded link to your rough draft of your annotated bibliography, and it'll have my comments. Make sure that when you submit your final draft to the Dropbox, make sure that you are submitting a new draft. In the past, students have accidentally submitted that draft with my comments on it, but you want to make sure that you complete a new draft, revise based off of my comments, and make sure that you submit that in the Dropbox on eLearning. And as a reminder, the due date for the annotated bibliography is May 31st. If you have or if you are having any troubles with meeting that deadline, just send me an email and let me know, and we can work out something from there. The next thing is that before you hand in the annotated bibliography, make sure you check the checklist on the annotated bibliography assignment sheet. I will be looking at that as well as a rubric along with my feedback that I've given you, and I'll be looking at to see if you have paid attention to the checklist. So you want to make sure that you don't get any points taken off just by not including those things in the checklist. So for instance, make sure that each annotation has a direct quote from the source. Make sure that your citations are formatted in either MLA or APA formatting. And all of that stuff is on the checklist in your annotated bibliography assignment sheet. Another thing I wanted to mention in your annotated bibliography, and I always fail to mention this because it's one of those pieces of information that I take for granted, be that I write annotated bibliographies on a regular basis. But when you compose an annotated bibliography, the list of your sources should be organized or listed based off of the author's last name, and it needs to be alphabetized. So your first source that you talk about will be the author that's closest to the A in the alphabet. And if you don't have an author, then you just use the letter of the first letter of the title of the source that you're using. So in terms of organizing your actual annotated bibliography, everything should be listed alphabetically according to the author's last name. Another thing that I want you to make sure that you are aware of is that do not, and I repeat, do not include bullets, do not include numbers for the actual listing of the sources. All of that is signified by the author's last name. That's all you need, the author's last name in terms of how to organize, or I should say, how to list your sources. And always don't forget that after this first line of your annotated bibliography, you want to indent over one space. And if you have any questions or comments about what I'm talking about in terms of that, make sure that you review the sample annotated bibliographies in the annotated bibliography tab in the content section on eLearning. And if you have any further questions about that, or maybe you're not understanding what I'm referring to in the actual sample, please do not hesitate to send me a message and ask that question. Moving forward, before you turn in the annotated bibliography, I want you to make sure that you review all of the links that should have been reviewed up to this point on eLearning. So in terms of me looking at your papers, I'm looking at your annotated bibliographies with the assumption that you have understood and reviewed those links that you should have or that were posted on May 10th's announcements page. Moving forward between now and next week, I also want you to go to the Writing and Research tab in eLearning, and I also want you to review how to avoid cliches, the writing process, revision strategies, conducting research, along with another review of MLA and APA format. Make sure I will put these links, or I should say I'll list these links again in the on the announcements page. But make sure you review those links, because those links are going to be helpful in terms of the actual compositional things that you need to think about in relationship to the rules of the annotated bibliography, how it should be written, the tone you should be using, how it should be formatted. That's pretty much all that I have for now. like I said before, between now and the 31st, I will be, um, or not the 31st, I'm sorry, let me pull out my calendar. So today we are at the 24th. It is my goal to have everyone's rough draft back to them in the grade section on e-learning by the 28th, maybe the 29th. And so I'll be looking at everyone's papers between now and then. Like I said before, the final due date for the annotated bibliography is May 31st. But if we find ourselves getting into a problem where you need a little bit more time or you're not able to turn that in, just let me know and we can make further arrangements. But still keep in mind that on the 31st, our final paper, which is the thesis supporting paper, will be introduced. So, in the meantime, happy reading, happy writing. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know. Other than that, I will see you in cyberspace.